Hey. Popcorn.
No, I did have more popcorn this time, so I was pretty thirsty throughout these movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why I have none of my rum left. So, well, the big question should be, which was the better movie? This film or Pet Graveyard?
Oh, you're gonna be like this one or the first one.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But if there is one thing, that you could say about Pet Graveyard over this one. We just got out of the latest adaptation of Pet Sematary. There's one thing you could give Pet Graveyard over this one, and that's that Pet Graveyard, between the two of them, was the more faithful adaptation of Flatliners. This one is way too much like Pet Sematary to be anything even remotely like Flatliners. Watch our review of Pet Graveyard. If you haven't seen that, that was a mockbuster that we got a screening for like a week or two ago. But, and it was funny seeing people in the comments thinking that we were, and in the chat thinking we were talking about Pet Sematary when we were reviewing Pet Graveyard. Like, someone said something like, "Oh man, I was really looking forward to it. Really, I guess the original one's better. This sounds nothing like the book." And I did a Snob episode on Monday that came out. I did a Snob episode on the 1989 Pet Sematary, and you could tell in reading the feedback for that who was like familiar with the source material and who wasn't, when you would notice people saying like, "What the hell, you spelled cemetery wrong." Why does everyone keep doing this? Does no one know how to spell this word right now? Have you ever read the book? I have. Now, it's been 25 years maybe since I've read the book. But I have. I grew up being a big Stephen King guy, still am. And you did watch the 1989 one here
I've seen it before.
Recently.
Yeah, I've seen it before, and I liked it then.
Uh-huh.
I rewatched it with you when you were doing an episode for the Snub. So I wasn't paying too close attention, but I would check in every now and then. But you were like writing notes and stuff, so it's not really like
clackety clack.
Well, no, it's fine. Were you riding your horse or something?
Well, only when I was watching Black Rage.
So, yeah, and I remember watching it again. I was like, this is a lot slower than I remember, and it's also, the acting wasn't as good as I remember from the 89 version.
Yeah, I don't know what to talk about first necessarily in comparing this to the 1989 movie or comparing it to the book. The book, I love the book. The book, now I'm going off of about 25 years of memory here since I read it, but the book it's a pretty rough read, and I mean that in a good way, because of a lot of King books, it's pretty depressing. Like, I mean, rightfully so, because I mean, it is a book that largely throughout a majority of it is like heavily dealing with grief and death. And the book, and you expect the book certainly to get way more deep into that than like an hour and 40-minute movie could. The book, it gets pretty rough as it goes along. Like, really, a lot of the stuff that some of the more climactic stuff that from the movies is certainly a bit towards the end of the book, and even by the time like it gets to that, if I remember right, like it's Lewis Creed in the book has like aged severely by the end of it. Like, grief has like taken such a toll on him in the book that he's like, I think, like gray by the end of the book. And
so it doesn't happen over like in the movie.
If I remember right, the movie, both this one and the 1989 one, certainly like condense a lot of the time frame a bit. And I understand that. Like, I actually did like this one better than the 1989 one.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. Not because like the 89 version was slower. Like, I can do a slow horror movie. I don't need it to be like jump scare or
Pet
anything.
Sematary needs to be a slow burn.
Yeah, we want to feel like you've earned, like, that the character losing a child is, not just, like, thrown in there really quickly, and then you don't really get to know their relationship, Whereas, they do that, I think, in both of them. I wasn't really paying attention in the beginning of the 89 one, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't remember that. But
there are things that, first of all, honestly, I think Jason Clarke alone makes this a better movie than the 1989
Oh,
one.
yeah. The other actors really...
Dale Midkiff, the acting is a lot better in this one. There are some things I'll give to the I like the 1989 one. It was never it was never one of my favorites. It was never one that I went back to a lot, but whenever it would pop up, I'd enjoy myself with it, because for all the faults that the 89 one has, and it does, it is a quotable movie. It's a memorable movie. I mean, Fred Gwynne alone in that film makes it a very memorable flick. And it does have some creepy stuff in it, certainly. The acting is way better in this one. This one's a lot moodier. This one, I would say, is a creepier movie. The 1989 one, though, I would probably say is a more quotable film. But
they're different, but the acting is better in this one.
It is. Yeah, it is. And the 1989 one has a lot of faults that you see when it's King adapting himself.
He did the screenplay
for the 1989 one, yeah. And
there's parts where it's like they focus on the sister a lot.
Oh, Zelda.
Or something. Yeah. And
and
also with the like spirit guide guy.
Oh, Pascal.
Sometimes that would be like not distracting, but it would just kind of take away from...
It works in the book. Because the book, you have all that time to really develop this world and these characters' backstories and how each of them are dealing with grief in their pasts in their own way. In the 1989 one, and honestly, even in this one a little bit too, sometimes it feels necessary, other times it comes across as like a rather extreme backstory. And sometimes it can sort of feel just like a weird detour. If there was one thing I wish that this one did more than the 1989 one did, it was in the book how there's a big part in the book that does have to do with Judd's wife. And that's touched upon a bit here, more so I think than the 1989 one.
Yeah, they didn't really do it with this one.
The book they do a lot more, and I wish that they maybe punched that up in this one, since they didn't really do that a lot in the 1989 one. Whereas this one, for like 3/4 of it, it's pretty much paced the same as the 89 one. It's just better acted. It gets a little gothic in some parts, like when they're in the graveyard and all the fog and the lightning in the background. I
think it's a pretty movie.
It is. It's a gorgeous movie. I like that John Lithgow is playing Judd.
That was good casting.
It is great casting, and I like that he's not just doing Fred Gwynne, which makes sense because no one in this movie is really doing the actors from the other movies. John Lithgow is more sinister as Judd Crandall than Fred Gwynne.
He'll just be standing there and he's like, "Are you trying to kill the children, old man," or something?
Yeah.
It's just his uncle.
So he's kind of like Uncle from Red Dead Redemption. And they both kind of have the same stains on their white beard.
Yeah, I was thinking that during the movie. I was like, this is just Uncle.
Like this whole thing is a side mission in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well, there is the zombie one.
That's very true, actually. Yeah, this is kind of like a modern undead nightmare. You've
gone too far this time, old man. When has he done this before? Were you trying to pretend he was dead? In this movie, there were parts with Jason Clarke where I was like, he looks a lot like Chandler Bing in a lot of areas, and I was just that would be a little distracting. It's not his fault, but it's just in my mind. I'm like, could this cemetery be any more haunted?
So yeah, I was thinking about that. I love Jason Clarke. Like Jason Clarke is typically always awesome, even when like a movie sucks. He'll still be kind of awesome. And
he's entertaining.
And this. I like this movie a lot. Like, he was in a bad horror movie last year called Winchester, and he was still really good in that.
I didn't see that one with
you. It was pretty bad. And he was still really good in that movie. But it was when we went to go see some movie, and the trailer showed in front of it. I don't remember if it was in front of us, where we were a little tipsy.
I mean, that was you too.
Oh, that's right. We had a couple before you showed up. Or when we were a little high in front of Holmes and Watson. One of those two, like, I could hear you next to me just going, "He's Chandler." And ever since then, I'm like, I can see it.
Tamara said the same thing, though.
Okay, so it was in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, he looks just like Chandler.
Yeah.
And Tamara was like, I was thinking the same thing.
I can see it.
And
yeah.
it's not like he's acting like Matthew Perry.
No. It's that.
You remember that one where Monica died?
Spoiler, Huddy. Some people haven't gone through the whole series yet. No, like, he's great in this movie. Whereas, like, it's a lot of it is paced similar to the '89 one. So obviously the book dives way deeper in it. You expect that the book's going to spend more time with certain things than the movies will. But what's great about Jason Clarke is that you kind of see everything he's going through in his eyes.
Yeah, like, he's pretty expressive in his eyes.
Yeah, he is. He can have a look about him, or just even some redness in his eyes, that really kind of, in just one instance, kind of shows you everything this character is going through, and like what's maybe going through his head.
Yeah, the death scene was pretty intense in this.
You mean with the kid?
Yeah. For me, at least, but
I had some issues with that, largely because it was, I thought it was shot well in the '89 one, in the sense that the truck hit and you just see, like, the shoe fly away. Whereas in this one, we've already established that the movie doesn't mind showing rather graphic depictions of someone hit by a car, and in that particular scene, they lingered on the girl a little long to show that she was completely bloodless in that situation.
I guess that maybe they would have thought it would take it too far, it'd be like a little too hard for someone.
I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into with a movie like this anyway, but if you don't want to show that, then don't show it. The original one did fine with that, where it just showed the kid's shoe fly away.
Yeah, I get what
if
you're
they
saying.
didn't. Whereas in this, there was really that was kind of distracting to me in this film.
It did distract me.
I loved what they did with the cat. I loved Church in this film.
Whose cat acting was better?
Church in this, or Church in '89. This one was Church in this is more reminiscent to the book. In 1989, there's some cool stuff they do with the cat, like especially with his eyes. They film Church's eyes really well in the 1989 one. In the 1989 one, he's just kind of comes across like he's grumpy, you know.
I was thinking that with this one too, though. Sometimes I would think this cat just reminds me of my friend's cat in high school that was just an asshole. Like, I wouldn't think he was possessed or anything.
Where this
like he
one
would scratch them or something, but
in the '89 one where he injects Church at the end with the serum, in the '89 one I thought, like, well, that's kind of a dick move. The cat's just kind of sitting there, like, he's just a little grumpier now.
Yeah, that's true.
In this one, in the book, the cat's doing a lot of really, like, kind of sadistic shit to like mice and birds and other animals, and they do that a little bit here. Where
that's just how some cats act, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it plays well with this because it wasn't that kind of cat beforehand.
Yeah.
Where in this, it was less. And in the book, it talks heavily about how the cat. It's not so much like a hunter-prey situation. It's
like
more
sadistic.
just pure sadism, and you get a little bit of that here with the cat when it's gnawing at this bird inside of the room, and the cat's also filmed really well in this.
I'm glad like it didn't use any CGI for this cat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they did, I didn't notice.
Not that I noticed.
The cat's acting was good, like, or whoever trained the cat was good with him.
They filmed that cat, that cat would be sitting in a hallway, just standing there, just disheveled as shit, and like, it was creepy. Like, the cat was...
It was a cute cat.
It was. Like, yeah, I mean, I was finding the cat adorable because I love cats, but also simultaneously, like, that cat's gonna mess you up.
I just like how they would just zoom out from the cat. He's just, like, staring into the camera, like...
Mm-hmm. I liked that. I did. And I liked that Church in this one looked like a cat who had been buried and came back.
It does.
Like, I enjoyed that about the movie.
There are some parts in the movie where some things will be explained to the audience. Like, when she was explaining about her sister, she was kind of saying this story to him like he's never heard it before.
Yeah.
And some other things where he doesn't believe in, like... Okay.
Just a headlight.
Oh. What was I gonna say? Oh, where he didn't believe in life after death or something. And she's like, wait, you don't? I'm like, you guys have... I feel like you would have had this conversation earlier.
Sure. I mean, he comes across in this like maybe he's someone in the past who's kind of struggled with that. And if I remember right, I think the book does a little bit of that too. But no, I was thinking the same thing in some of those. Like, in this one and in the 89 one as well, I was like, there doesn't need to be a lot of this Zelda stuff in here. I mean, well, to a point.
One.
Yeah, well, some stuff was a little silly with it in this one, I thought, but like this one in the 89 one, like to a point, it needs to be there for the wife, and then other parts it just kind of gets like it's kind of sidetracking a little bit.
Yeah, I think that just is how the book is, though. Maybe I didn't read the book, so.
With the book, you certainly have the benefit of it being this entire world that you're reading, and it plays well in there. Whereas, like that would maybe be something I would have done something a little bit different with in a movie adaptation. But, and same with some stuff with Pascal, because Pascal could sometimes come across like it's two people giving you the same exposition, between Pascal and Judd. But this one I thought handled that fine. Like, it wasn't...
Yeah. I mean, it's an hour 40-minute movie. It's a quick sit.
It is a quick sit, and Pascal was here in this movie when he needed to be, and he was gone elsewhere. He wasn't just kind of randomly showing up and being snarky.
Yeah.
And where the movie does certainly play, it does have parts where it plays on the fact that you've seen the 1989 one, like more so than reading the book, because like it's showing you some shots that are playing with your expectations if you remember the other movie, especially the opening scene. But then it does take a pretty big, I guess we'll go into spoilers here, but like it does deviate a lot from the book, especially at a certain point in the movie.
Is it the same kid?
No.
Okay.
And honestly, the changes that this movie make, I don't have a problem with.
I didn't either. Like, the kid in the first one that passes away was...
Gage.
Yeah, Gage. Like, a 2-year-old that's, like, haunting me is less intimidating, I guess.
I thought Gage was kind of creepy in the first movie.
I don't know. I didn't find him that creepy. And sometimes it wouldn't even be, like, a real kid, would it? Like, I remember I'd look up and it would be, like, a dummy.
They would go back and forth between the kid and
just a kid,
and
like,
the dummy.
I'm gonna get you, daddy, kind of thing. I thought the voice of Gage in the first one would get a little annoying every once in a while, whereas this one, it's a little more intimidating.
I honestly thought Gage's voice in the 89 was a bit creepier than the girl's voice in this one. But that was just me.
I don't really get creeped out by little kid voices like that.
Well, not that... I mean, it depends on the movie. But, like, in this, I thought she looked really, really creepy. And in this one, it's Ellie who dies. I thought... That's in the trailer.
It looks like she's been through, like, the embalming.
Yeah, I liked that. That was kind of creepy, because it was like, there was nothing inside this girl's head right now.
Yeah.
That, I enjoyed that. Like, the look of her was great. And so, and the physicality of the performance, too, when she's doing this ballerina thing and smashing shit around the house. Sometimes when she'd talk, it kind of came across as just like... I don't know. Sometimes I didn't find it terribly creepy, and more so it just sounded kind of like someone kind of throwing a tantrum a little bit and like trying to be
Sometimes.
creepy. But
I thought she was pretty good, especially like
She's
playing two
fine.
different things.
I mean, compared to the movie we saw last weekend, I mean,
Dumbo?
Dumbo, yeah,
Yeah,
her
we've been
acting's
comparing
great.
these movies.
I know,
Kid
both
acting
movies, yeah.
If it was that little girl in Dumbo, it's this. Oof. That might be a little scary.
Maybe,
Those
I don't
dead
know.
eyes.
Yeah, God, yeah, maybe that would be fine. No, I had no problem with that change in this movie because it's like, look, there's a version of this movie from 1989. I'm fine with this movie deviating like that. I get it, because otherwise you are just making the same movie again.
Yeah, I like when movies do something different with it or something, you know?
Certainly, because like if it still works in context to what you're watching, it can still be a damn good movie. It could even be better than a version that technically is more faithful to the source material.
Sometimes you just have to change it, though, if you're going to change
It does
it from
change
a book to
quite a
movie.
bit. The ending of this movie is nothing like the book,
Oh.
and I'm fine with
I kind of
if-
liked it. It made it its own thing. I mean, I kind of liked the other ending more, but this one I enjoyed too because it kind of was fun.
I like that it played with what you were expecting from it. If you've read the book or if you've seen the other movie, I enjoyed that about it. Like, I'm like, you know what? This is fine. Like, I was sort of expecting it to do, maybe not exactly what it did, but I was expecting it to, at a point, kind of deviate a little bit, and it did. And I still thought it was it's silly, certainly, but the ending of the book is creepier than both movies. The ending in the 1989 one is more similar to the book than this. By far, it's more similar. It's the book. Sorry, spoiler, but like the ending of the book, it's pretty much the 89 one, except the 89 one does like a. I think this was even because like the studio wanted him to punch it up. The way that the book ends is it plays out similar, where he buries his wife and then he goes back home and he's playing solitaire by himself and he's waiting for his wife to come back. Suddenly, if I'm remembering this right, suddenly you just see this arm on his shoulder and it's his wife, and you just really quietly hear her say like "darling" or something like that, and then it ends. Which is, I always thought was pretty fucking creepy. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. But it's pretty gross in the 89 version.
in the 89 one, she just grabs like a knife and stabs him, and then the Ramones start playing. Like, so it's like the 89 one was basically. The 89 one's the ending of the book if it was punched up from studio notes.
No, what I meant, what was gross was when, like, she starts oozing and they're like making
Oh, right, because she's got like an eye missing and shit like that in the other one. Yeah, this one's, it's kind of silly, certainly, but I was fine with that deviation. I was.
Yeah.
The movie built up enough goodwill.
Yeah, the ending song, like, then the credits is kind of matched the tone of the ending of the movie too, because the song lyrics were like, "I don't want to be buried in the pet cemetery" or something, something like that. And I don't know who was singing it, but it was some like rock star girl thing.
Yeah, no, I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
that
I
until
started
you were
singing it afterwards. And you're like, "Did you just make that up?"
Like,
I was like,
did you just make up this song?
"No."
So no, I recommend it. Like, if you're a King fan, you'll notice some like Easter eggs in the movie. Like, there's a sign referencing Derry at one point, the town from It. So you'll notice, even in the 80s, you'll notice, like, Stephen King movies, like, and the books especially, like, have, like, little Easter eggs through them and everything. Even the 89 one, you could see, like, a picture of Cujo. But no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good flick. I thought it was a well-acted movie. It was a moody movie. If you like the other one more than this, like, because it's more sentimental to you or something like that, or, you know, it's between Fred Gwynn's performance and everything, I get it. Like, both of them, I think, have their strengths. This one it's a much moodier movie. It's pretty creepy, and it's a better acted film.
Yeah, and it's a quick sit, which I love those kind of movies.
You do.
I do.
20 minutes and done.
That's what I said on our honeymoon.
Whoa, 20 minutes. All right.
Ooh, 20 minutes.
20 minutes. I thought you said seconds. I was like, I've been done 20 minutes ago. All right. Well, wait, is it 20 minutes with commercial breaks? All right.
Oh my god. You dork.
I know. All right, so we're gonna head back and everything. We got a con. We're leaving for a con tomorrow. We got Wizard World St. Louis tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So come see us up there. We're doing a Jesus Bro screening there on Saturday at 7. So come see us at Wizard World St. Louis. Until then, thanks a bunch, everyone, for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Bye.